Hi everyone, good afternoon sa inyong lahat. So thank you for checking out this breakout session of COL Financial on applying smart investing strategies for the new year. Sa mga hindi familiar, COL Financial is the Philippines' leading online stockbroker. Yung online platform, which is www.colfinancial.com, offers access pareho sa stocks and the country's top mutual funds. COL has reached hundreds of thousands of people in our commitment to help Filipinos build wealth and achieve financial independence through the Philippine stock market. My name is Jackie, your moderator for today. Pero bago tayo magsimula, andito ako to remind you of the 4 quick notes kung papaano natin mamamaximize itong online learning session natin. Una, lean in to a short but loaded session. So to lean in, ibig sabihin, to shift one's full attention towards something para mas marami tayong matutunan. Let's lean in. Second, treat everyone how you would like to be treated. And I guess that's self-explanatory. Ang pangatlo, stay and expect a giveaway at the end of the session. Pero in order for you to know kung ano yung giveaway namin, please stay for the next few minutes. So kapit lang tayo dyan, mga guys. Lastly, use the chat box for your questions and clarifications. Yung questions and clarifications ninyo will be entertained after na ng talk. But we have our team naman to answer some of your basic queries at the chat box. Kaya type nyo lang dyan yung questions nyo. So sige, let's try the chat box everyone. Sample lang naman. Let me ask, no right or wrong answers dito ha. If you could freely travel anywhere in the world, where would you go? Saan mo ba gugustuhin pumunta? So type in the chat box na yung top of the mind place mo. Malay mo naman this year, achieve mo na yan. Okay, so maraming pumapasok. I can see answers coming in. Thank you so much everyone for being cooperative. Parang ako din, ang dami ko din puntahan. Pero isa lang yan sa mga dreams ko muna ngayon. So kung ready na kayo just type go Ayun, I think everyone is ready and excited. Okay, our speaker, among other things, writes a weekly column named Intelligent Investing for the Philippine Daily Inquirer and nag-host siya sa TV show Insight for ANC. To quickly share on applying smart investment strategies for the new year, here's COL's Chief Equity Strategist, Lynn Tan.
Hello, Jackie.
Hi, Miss April. Good afternoon.
Yeah,
I'm
nice
sure
to see you.
Ikaw din. And I'm sure excited ka today to share your expertise and knowledge sa mga audience natin para mas maging smart investor pa sila.
Yeah, definitely. Lalo na ngayong New Year, I'm sure we have all these investors who want to start investing, no? That's a New Year's resolution of most Filipinos.
Yeah, and they said they are ready na. So, Miss April, you can have the floor now for your presentation.
Okay, sige. Simulan na natin, no?
Yes.
Okay. So again, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for this opportunity that you've given me to share some of my thoughts on how you can apply smart investment strategies for the new year. Kung di man itong start of 2022, at least we have the Chinese New Year. So it is a good time to start investing. I mean, it's always a good time to start investing. You know, although a lot of Filipinos during the start of the new year want to start investing, kakaunti lang ang nakakapag-fulfill itong resolution because I think it's the confusion na parang, sige, I want to start it, but I don't know what to do. But, you know, before we actually think of a correct strategy, ask yourself, what type of investor are you? Are you a conservative investor? Yung tipong, you know, you're only used to placing your money in mga time deposits, mga funds, kasi gusto mo may guaranteed returns ka, fixed returns that you're sure of. You're not really comfortable with taking in a lot of risk or possible volatility, no, possible losses. Or you could be the type na, sige, okay lang naman kahit may konting volatility ng share price, okay lang naman matalo minsan, pero sobra kang busy sa work, wala kang panahon na mag-aral tungkol sa stocks. Okay, you could be that type of investor, and you know, you feel like I'm a bit too old to learn how to pick stocks already. But I really want to do this. I really want to invest in the stock market. Or you could be the active investor na talagang, in your spare time, it's really your hobby to learn how to invest, how to pick stocks. You're so active reading all the reports and then, learning more about the stock market. So, iba-iba ang mga strategies natin para sa inyo if you are a conservative or a passive or an active investor. So if you are a conservative investor, okay, like what I've said, I think the best strategy for you is to buy stocks that provide steady dividends, relatively steady dividends, because the yields on products that are available in the stock market are higher than bonds and time deposits. Meron tayo niyan sa stock market. And these would be preferred shares and real estate investment trusts or REITs. Okay? And the good news is, since yung binibigay ng preferred shares and REITs are called dividends, by definition, they are only taxed at 10%. Versus interest income from banks and bonds, they are taxed at 20%. So may additional bonus pa kayong ganun. So let's start. Maybe you're wondering, what are preferred shares anyway? Okay, so preferred shares, this is part of a company's equity. Okay, you're considered to be an owner of a company also. But ang kinaibahan nito sa common shares is yung mga common shareholders, they have voting rights. Ang preferred shareholders, they don't have voting rights. And preferred shares receive fixed annual cash dividends as long as the company is profitable. Okay? So, yung kinaiba ng uh, preferred shareholders sa bondholders is yung bondholders, kahit lugi yung company, makaka-receive siya ng cash dividends. If you're a preferred shareholders, the company has to be profitable before you can receive a cash dividend. Okay? And the claim on assets is greater than common stockholders, but less than bondholders in the event of liquidation. So if the company becomes bankrupt, um, and then the company is liquidated, mauuna ang bondholders, then whatever is left, mauuna kayo sa mga common shareholders. So in some ways, you are more protected compared to the stockholders, no, the common stockholders. But you are less protected compared to bondholders, no? That's why your yields are higher. Next, let's talk about REITs. So what are REITs? Real estate investment trusts or REITs are publicly listed companies that own, operate, or finance income-generating real assets. So ibig sabihin, for example, right now, mga REITs natin, they're property landlords. They own offices. But in the future, I wouldn't be surprised if there will be REITs that own mga apartments, malls, hotels, warehouses, and other types of properties. Basta may mga income siyang generate. Landlords sila. Okay, so one advantage, why do companies want to list REITs? It's because the REITs do not have to pay income taxes. But for them to avail of this benefit, they are required to pay out at least 90% of their taxable income as cash dividends. So ibig sabihin lahat ng kinikita ng REITs or almost all of what these REITs earned are given out to the REIT holders. And of course, being a REIT, you have to be publicly listed. Bawal ang private company. So because of that, yung mga shareholders na maliliit tulad natin, pwedeng makinabang dito sa mga REITs at ma-enjoy natin itong mga rental incomes ng mga REITs. Okay, so this is a busy slide. I'm just sharing this to show you the kind of yields that you can expect from owning preferred shares. So you can see here na medyo mas matataas talaga siya kaysa sa bonds, no? So for example, from a 3 to 5 year maturity, which would be this portion, you can see that the average yield to call is around for around 4.5% or 5%, no? So for similar bonds, I think you would only get something like 2 plus 3%. So may ganung difference, no? And then this one naman, ang yield of REITs. Um, Based on the price and the projected dividend per share, you can see that the dividend yield is also very high. I think this is averaging mga 5+%. So you can see that the returns of the preferred shares and the REITs are higher than yields on bonds, fixed income, and also of bank deposits, which is why you should consider putting some of your money here. Kasi kung ilalagay lang natin sa bangko yan, sobrang liit ng returns, di ba? Okay. So anyway, so what are the risks of preferred shares? The cash dividends might be delayed or not paid if the company is losing money. As I've said earlier, um, di ba, uunahin nila yung bondholders before yung mga preferred shareholders. And then again, as I've said earlier, the claim on asset is less than bondholders in the event of liquidation. And finally, this is something that I didn't talk about, but the preferred shares might not be redeemed on the callable date. So ibalik natin dun sa kanina, you will see here is the yield to call. Kasi usually, the company, when they issue the preferred shares, they will say that, okay, we will call this preferred share, or ibig sabihin, i-redeem niya. Parang bond yan yung maturity in, say, 3 years, 5 years, ganun. So may chance na pag yung company nahirapan siyang i-finance yung principal, they will not call or redeem the preferred share tapos tuloy-tuloy lang siya, no? Um, in some ways, you might want this because usually the incentive for a company to redeem or to call the preferred share on the callable date is usually may step up siya. Ibig sabihin, they have to pay you higher interest. So in some ways, gusto mo yon. But in some ways, ayaw mo rin kasi pag hindi nila kinol yung preferred share, ibig sabihin, nahihirapan sila. So mas malaking chance na mababankrupt siya, no? But anyway, that's just a risk. So anyway, before we talk about how to mitigate the risk, let's talk about the risk, the REITs first. May risk din siya. Since the income of the REITs is from rental income, if the rental rates go down, they will pay out less cash dividends. Yun. And then, of course, if interest rates go up, the share prices of the REITs can also go down. Yan. Kasi para rin siyang stock. And then, poor market conditions will also affect it. Okay. So that said, pakakabahin na kayo kung conservative investor kayo. Sa opinion ko, hindi dapat. You can just do some things to mitigate the risk. For example, choose the issuer. Kasi ang problema, yung ibang investors, tinitingnan lang yung yield. They just chase after the preferred shares and the REITs that provide the highest yields. So if you want to control your risk, huwag kayong hahabol basta mataas yung yield. Kasi, 'di ba, typically, the higher the risk, the higher the return. So mamili kayo doon sa issuer. Alamin niyo yung issuer kung maganda ba yung financial standing niya. Therefore, they can afford to pay the proper cash dividends every quarter or every year. Then for preferred shares, meron tayong tinatawag na cumulative or non-cumulative. So if you say that it's cumulative, ibig sabihin, let's say nalugi si company 1 year and then they are not able to pay the preferred dividends. Next year they can, and then next year they make money. Next year when they make money, they have to pay the cash dividends last year. And this year, pati yung this year, babayaran nila. So 2 years worth of cash dividends ang babayaran nila. So always buy preferred shares that are cumulative. Yan ang hahanapin nyo. Huwag kayong bibili ng non-cumulative. Okay? And then for the REITs, please study its portfolio of assets. And of course, when you study the portfolio of assets, ibig sabihin, ano ba yung mga laman nitong REITs? Ano ba itong mga properties na pag-aari niya? I mean, you have to be selective. Like, you are the landowner or you are the property owner. Kailangan type nyo rin yung mga properties nila. So, bilhin nyo yung mga companies or REITs that own properties that you would also buy on your own. Okay? So, pag mas magaganda yung assets, of course, mas maganda mga tenants, mas siguradong makakabayad sila. Okay, let's now move on to the passive investors. So, for the passive investors, our recommended strategy is to buy mutual funds because you are so busy nga, you don't have time to pick stocks. You might as well buy a mutual fund that is professionally managed. Kasi ang mga mutual funds, by definition, they are pooled funds of a lot of investors, a lot of small investors, and even some big investors. They put together their funds and then they hire a professional fund manager who will manage this fund. And because it's managed and it's already big, because it's a pooled fund, it's already diversified, okay, which is very difficult for small investors. I mean, if you don't have a lot of money, how can you diversify? Di ba? Mahirap yun. And of course, it's affordable. I think with only a few thousand pesos, you can already buy a mutual fund, and every month or every quarter, you can top up with only a few hundred pesos, which is difficult to do when you're buying individual stocks. Okay. So other strategies you can employ, for example, busy ka, nag-work ka, wala ka pang capital, you could also do a peso cost averaging strategy, in buying your mutual funds. It's not, you don't have to buy one time, big time. So what you could do is every payday, you can consistently set aside a certain portion of your salary, like 20%. You can set it aside for investment. And then, i-automate mo na yung process. Like, kahit, di ba, kahit hindi mo na kailangan mag-log on, mag-enter ng order, pwede mo siyang gawin. Okay, and you can do that through COL Financial. We actually do have the facility for you to do a peso cost averaging. Okay, so that's it. So what type of stocks can you add to your portfolio if you're a passive investor? Okay, so COL Financial, actually, we do have fund distribution, mutual fund distribution, the COL fund source. So for me, I would suggest that you buy the equity index fund. Or if you want something international, feeder funds. Okay. Bakit pa equity index fund? Kasi ang equity index fund, the goal of this fund is actually to mimic the performance of the index. Okay. I mean, okay, if you want, you can choose equity fund. Pero dito kasi, pipili ka ng fund manager na type mo. And if you are a new investor, of course, you still don't know kung sino yung magagaling na fund manager. So if I were you, dito na lang tayo sa index fund kasi ang index fund, the only thing that they do is they try to mimic the performance of the PSEI index. And if you have a bullish view on the PSEI index, this is your best bet. Okay? And then ang feeder funds, sabihin natin gusto mo medyo malaki yung pera mo, malaki sweldo mo, and then you want a more international um investment, no? International exposure, which in a way is much safer rather than just Philippines. Then you go to the feeder funds because these feeder funds are invested in global stocks, like including the US and other countries. Ayan, so you want to do a peso cost averaging? You can actually do it in the COL fund source. You enter schedule EIP and then you just enter the fund. The fund has a ticker. You enter it and then the amount you want to put, say every month. So assume that it's 5,000, then you put the 5,000. Then here, the period, you can choose like the period and when you want to start. Let's say after you attend this webinar, you open an account and you want to start it on Monday, and then you put it on um, January 31, and then you want to do this for up to 3 years. Pwede namang 1 year commitment. I think maximum is 3 years. Then of course, automatic. Para kahit busy kayo, kahit hindi kayo makapag-log on, ayan, sure na madadaan yung mga orders nyo and you can accumulate. Okay. So I think one of the things that we have are, yung not all passive investors are 100% passive. Sometimes you work for a company na feeling mo maganda ang outlook, no? And you want to buy the stock. But of course, parang hindi naman maganda, naiisa lang naman yung stock ang bibili nyo, di ba? So you wanna buy some stocks, but not enough to have a diversified portfolio. So in that respect, you could consider a core satellite strategy, meaning your core could be, say, a fund that is diversified, like an index fund or a feeder fund, then a satellite, or one or two stocks that you like. Pero of course, hindi naman safe pag siya lang ang laman ng portfolio nyo. Pwede rin yun, no? So, you can do this. Maybe say 80% of your monthly easy investment program. You could do peso cost averaging, then 20% you set aside as cash or individually ipasok nyo yung order nyo, tapos bilhin nyo. Pwede rin yun, no? And this would also be good for passive investors who are trying to shift to active investing, di ba? Maganda rin yan. Okay, finally, the active investor yan. Um, yung self-directed investor, you wanna know what you're investing, you wanna be fully in charge. Yan. Ang tip namin, of course, in everything, including when you're going to think about subscribing to IPOs, buy companies with attractive growth prospects. Yung ibig sabihin, feeling mo their profits will be growing in the future. And of course, they have to be managed by people you trust and these people know what they're doing, no? And they must be trading at cheap valuations. So it's just similar to, say, entering into a business with a friend. Syempre, you will not invest in a business of a friend na wala kang tiwala at hindi ka bilib sa business. Kailangan doon kayo mag-invest. Pag nag-invest kayo ng stock market, I know that a lot of investors are tempted with tips. No? Sasabihin, dito kayo bumili kasi tataas, may chismis ako, may chismis na ganyan. Try to avoid doing this, no? Because this is very risky and it will cause you to lose money. And then next, I'll share with you using different trading strategies depending on the stage of the market. And if you're a little bit more advanced, the combination of both fundamental and technical analysis to help you boost your returns. Okay, yan. Ito, yung mga chismis, yung mga tips, speculative stocks, they go up and go down. So bakit pa sila tumataas? Well, they go up due to news or rumors of new developments that could lead to significant increase in profitability. Ayan. Okay, so right now, for example, nauuso yung SPNEC, yan. Di ba, umakyat siya because of course, the new company, first of all, they are in, what do you call this? They are in solar power na medyo uso, di ba? And then from 50 megawatts, they're gonna turn that into 10,000 megawatts. So if you do the math, that's a significant increase, no? So syempre na-excite ang mga tao. Okay? So yon, that's the reason why it's going up. But you have to remember on the negative side, when this news turns into reality, the price will go down because analysts can easily compute the value. Kasi ngayon walang details eh, kaya parang na-excite ka. Pero pag nandyan na talaga, parang reality sets in, ay hindi pala ganun kadali. Tapos nako, parang ang mahal na, ang laki na ng tinaas ng presyo. As I've said, it normally takes time for businesses to generate profits on a sustainable basis. Or finally, yung mga rumors hindi naman nagkatotoo, parang chismis lang talaga sila. Yung pala, puro chismis, hindi pala totoo. Okay? So I think for this one, yung medyo makaka-relate kayo is yung dito. I think last year, 2 years ago, it was one of the darling stocks na based on tips, it would go up. But then now that it's operating, baka magtaka kayo, bakit yun nag-ooperate saka siya bumaba? Kasi they said, well, it's gonna take them at least 3 years to be cash flow positive and 5 years to become profitable. Eh kung isipin nyo, naku, ang tagal pa nun, di ba? So how can the share price keep on going up? Yung pala, ang hirap palang kumita bilang third telco player. And another example, okay, here. This is usually what happens with mga tips. Okay, yan. Usually it will go up because of speculation, chismis, and then it will go down when, they actually have to do the investment, tapos malulugi muna. And then finally, when it becomes profitable, ayan, tataas ulit. So with Globe Telecom, this actually happened many years ago. As you can see in the 1990s, ayan, umakyat muna siya. 1993, 94, and then yon. I remember this. I was just a new analyst din. Parang nalugi-lugi siya for many, many years. Then finally, it turned around when it came out with this GSM technology. Kasi dati ang uso yung sa PhilTel, no? Tapos maraming hacking nangyari doon. So because of that, a lot of people switched to Globe, and that was the only time when Globe share price actually went up, no? So parang ganun yan. And then investment strategies during different stages of the market. I think this is something that we need to be aware of. We have to be aware of what stage a particular market is in. Is it in the early stages? Kasi pansinin nyo, during early stages, there is no interest in the market. Walang, parang skeptic. Everybody's skeptical. And then, there will be the late bull market stage when pag sinabi nyo, uy, nag-invest sa stock market, wow, parang ang sikat ka, ganon, usong-uso na siya. Everybody's like, I did the right move. I'm so confident. Yan, late stage bull market na yan. And then, of course, in the bear, there will be a bubble bursting, and then panic selling. Yan. That's the bear market. Parang naging sobrang mahal na, tapos yung pala wala. Pababa na siya. So that's like an early bear market. And then up to the point where it's accepted to be a reality. Wala na, pessimistic ng tao, ayaw nila, pababa pa rin ang price. So what do you do in these different stages? So early bull market, you can buy and hold your stock kasi tingnan mo, oh, ang trend niya pataas lang. Oh. I mean, there is some volatility, but generally the trend is up. So you can be more aggressive, buy the stock and just hold it. And here, when it's mid to late bull market, mas trader mentality tayo. Pag nag-correct yung stock, bibili. Pag tumaas, benta. Yan. You have to be more aware of these movements, no? Mas mabilis ang galaw natin. And then early bear market, let's stay away first because during the early bear market, ang problema dito yung mga fundamentalists tulad ko, nagmamadaling bumili at nalulugi. So medyo teka lang pag alam mong may ganong risk. Let's stay away first and then let's wait until, the interest is dying down and then stocks are just moving sideways, parang walang may pake. Then maybe you can start slowly accumulating these stocks. Okay, just some examples so you know, no? The Philippines, we feel, is in an early bull market. The PCI index, for example, ayan, nakita nyo umaakyat pero mabagal, yan. Because, why do we say that? Our GDP is recovering, and of course, the corporate earnings are recovering. Ang COVID-19 cases natin, I mean, kahit paano, we're slowly learning to live with the virus. And then a lot of the stocks are trading at very cheap valuations. And although tumataas-taas ang market, there's a lot of level of skepticism, parang takot pa rin mga tao. So if you buy today, I think it's okay to just buy the stock and keep it. You can just keep it for a long period of time. For the late bull market, an example would be, in our opinion, the US stock market. Kasi I mean, you can see that the market has been strong since the start of the pandemic. You can see here, March of 2020, tuloy-tuloy ang pagtaas. In fact, the US market is already significantly higher than its pre-pandemic high. Ito yung pre-pandemic high niya, mga 3.5. Ngayon, nasa 4 plus na siya. Ayan. And then, of course, there's this high level of optimism about the US market. Parang everybody wants to invest in the US stock market, di ba? And then aside from that, mahal na yung mga stocks kasi lahat ng tao naging excited. And right now, the reason why the US market is being sold off is because of the rising interest rates, which is not good for it, no? Okay, so my strategy or our recommended strategy, if you are to invest in the US stock market, because it's in the late bull market, is to trade or buy on support, sell at resistance. Medyo mas mabilis ang mga galaw natin dito. Okay. And in the Philippines, we also have some stocks that are in the late bull market stage. Yan. Yung mga nauso last year, like yung AC Energy and Converge, we feel that they are in the late bull market. Like pag tumaas sila, wag tayong hahabol. Habang nagko-correct, sige, pwede kayong bumili. But not while they're going up because these stocks, in our opinion, are quite expensive already. No? And then early bear market. So we feel that cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin are in the late bear market stage. Kasi as you can see, since 2020, they went up sharply. Okay, and remember for cryptocurrencies, um, you cannot really compute the intrinsic value. They go up based on supply and demand alone. Unlike stocks, you can compute some intrinsic value. So, yan. And then, when you talk to people, like kami, no, mga stockbrokers kami, nakakatawa. When we talk to regular people who are investing in cryptocurrency, sasabihin nila sa amin, kailangan mag-invest kayo sa cryptocurrency kasi malaking kinikita dyan, di ba? Mga ganun sila. But you have to remember, the reason why cryptocurrencies are so strong is because people talk about, the US dollar is so weak and loose monetary policy, etc., etc. Parang mali yung strategy ng Fed. Parang irresponsible yan. Pinabayaan na lang niyang mababang interest rate, etc., etc. But now that the Fed is actually raising rates and tightening its monetary policy, nagiging less attractive ang mga Bitcoin at cryptocurrencies, which is why we are seeing what it is doing right now. So in our opinion, at this point, you should avoid buying cryptocurrencies, no? Kasi mukhang pa-bear market siya. Parang alalahanin niyo yung 2018, no? Um, I think they call it the cryptocurrency winter, something like that. So I think we might see something similar to 2018 as the US Fed and the other countries are starting to raise interest rates, making traditional currencies more attractive. Okay. And late bear market, an example would be yung mga Philippines, the COVID-19 sensitive stocks that are smaller capitalized. So similar to other stocks, yung mga blue chips natin, they will benefit from the improving outlook of the Philippine economy and COVID. They're also very cheap. But the reason why we think it will take time for these stocks to go up is because usually when the market goes up, the fund managers, the institutional investors, they will prioritize the large cap blue chip stocks. So may time pang humabol dito sa mga small cap issues. But if you like them, I don't see any reason why you shouldn't accumulate them slowly. Pero when you buy them, don't expect them to go up right away. These stocks might take longer to go up. So an example would be stock like Cebu Pacific, no? Medyo huli na yan pag bibilhin. I'm not saying it's not going to go up. It will just take time before they will go up. So, finally, okay, why combine fundamental and technical analysis? I'm a fundamentalist, okay, because I do research. Then in CUL Financial, we do have Juanes Barredo and the others who do technical analysis. But I do have a great respect for technicals, and I also take a look at them in analyzing because it tells me a lot of things about a stock and about the sentiment of the investors. So as a fundamentalist, if I study technical analysis, it helps me improve timing. Parang nag-improve na ba yung sentiment ng issue at malapit na ba siya umakyat? Yan. Kasi madalas, pag fundamentalist, okay, mura siya, maganda, pero pag hindi napapansin ng tao, it could um, stay, low for a long period of time na hindi siya gumagalaw. For technicians, they should also respect the fundamentalist view because marami rin namang tumataas na nagpi-fizzle, hindi tumutuloy. But if a stock has good chart patterns and then the fundamentals are good, I mean, a technician would have higher conviction or the hit rate would be better. The chances of success would be much better. And then, of course, if you know that the fundamentals are good and you're a technician, you could actually invest more money. And finally, you can hold on to your position for a longer period of time kasi alam mong maganda yung kwento ng stock. So if you are actually a client of CUL Financial, we do have both fundamental and technical analysis. So this is how you can get a shortcut, no? So you could click the research tab, go to fundamentals and the investment guide. Then you can see here the different stocks and the ratings of the analyst. So of course, you focus on the stocks with a buy rating. And then, well, let's say nakapamili na kayo. Okay, I like this stock. Okay pala siya. And then you could go naman to the technical analysis, go to the research tab, then go to technicals, then they have the technical guide, then you could check what the recommendation is. Ayan, nandito ang recommendation at andito ang trend. So, ayan, you could choose stocks that have, for example, a buy rating here. Kapag buy siya pareho, yun ang i-focus natin. So anyway, in summary, your most suitable investment strategy will depend on what type of investor you are. If you are a conservative, passive, or active investor. If you're a conservative investor, we recommend buying preferred shares and real estate investment trust or REITs, as these assets provide dividends that are more stable. So it's very much similar to fixed income products and time deposits, but the yields are higher. For passive investors, we recommend buying mutual funds or unit investment trust funds, as these are managed by professional fund managers and they are affordable and automatically diversified. Then, for active investors, we recommend buying companies with attractive growth prospects managed by people you trust that are trading at cheap valuations. So please do not buy based on tips. And to invest wisely, no matter what type of investor you are, you can get more information and guidance from COL Financial.
So any parting words, Miss April?
Ayun, ako, I guess, in time for the Chinese New Year, if you weren't able to start investing this January, you have a second chance this February. So I do hope that, with what you've learned today, na sana matuloy na ang inyong investment and you can invest successfully.
All right, even I, Miss April, marami akong natutunan today. And at that note, we thank everyone for coming. You can also invite others to watch this session on demand for the coming days. Thank you once again, everyone, and happy investing.